Midoriya Izuku, the strong man, Bakugo Katsuki, the knife thrower, Shoto Todoroki, the trapeze artist. Those three were considered to be the highlight and main star of UA Circus. And then there's you, one of the behind-the-scenes staff who's stuck in their obsessive love. Oi, Todoroki! You're the one who swapped my lunch with Deku, aren't you? Katsuki yells at Shoto, who stares at him without a change in expression. I literally have no idea what you're talking about. He continues slurping at his soba, clearly showing his disinterest in the conversation. Katsuki's veins was about to pop off when you suddenly stepped in between, while holding out both your arms to stop the fight. Wait! I'm sorry, Bakugo. I was the one who accidentally swapped your lunchbox with Midoriya's. You look at him with an apologetic smile. Katsuki stares at you. His eyes are still glaring, but you could see it soften a bit. He lets out a frustrated sigh before turning around from you. Make sure to not make the same mistake again. I don't eat the same shit as Deku does. Huh? That's mean, Kachan. You heard Izuku softly comment on Katsuki's statement. Right after he's out of your sight, you blink in confusion, with an awkward smile adorning your face. He really did repeat the same thing as before. You silently thought to yourself. The truth is, this is already the 5th time you accidentally swapped his lunch with Izuku. The first time you did it, he gave the same exact response as he did just now, and you got curious as to why he gave you that kind of response when he could have just got real mad at you. So you did it again, just to see whether he'd get mad at you or not, to which he didn't, and so you did it again, and again, and again, and before you knew it, it already has been the 5th time you did it, and yet his reaction stayed the same. A part of you was actually impressed. Even without anyone telling you, it's pretty obvious to you that Katsuki is a sharp person. He has always shown to be a focused and sharp person, a trait he picked up from his role as a knife thrower. So it always struck you as odd what he didn't realize the same mistake you've been repeating for the 5th time. Just as you decided to shrug it off and stop pranking him, you heard Shoto talking to you in his usual calm voice. You're having fun with that? You turned to him with a small grin. Kinda, yeah. Rather, you noticed me doing this on purpose? You asked while chuckling a bit, amused at yourself. You didn't expect Shoto of all people to realize what you had done. He's always known to be a dense person after all. Well, you always have that amused smile on your face whenever you were swapping their lunches box, so you weren't exactly hiding it. You stop chuckling and look at Shoto with an awkward smile. A bit of sweat trickled down your face, and an amused feeling takes over your whole body. For all you know, every time you swapped their lunch boxes, no one was around. They weren't even supposed to be around. They were supposed to either be performing their part of the show or be in the break room after their show had ended at the time. Even if they were around and saw what you did, you would have sensed their presence. You shake off the uneasy feeling away, thinking maybe Shoto just happened to see you on accident and you were too focused on your prank to notice his presence. Anyway, he's an interesting person, don't you think? To think he didn't realize what I did. Shoto stays silent and keeps slurping at his soba until it's finished, before turning at you. No, you wish for him to do the same thing as you. That's not. Interesting, huh? I wonder about that. I believe it'd be more interesting if he does some trapeze act. Oh, you wish for him to do the same thing as you? That's nice. And fold them that hate while doing so. It would be interesting if that happened. That's for sure teach him a lesson to not ever take what's rightfully belong to others. You shut your lips and look at Shoto's indifferent face. Either he just meant that as a joke or you misread him. Either way, your heart is beating like crazy against your ribcage right now. Did it take something of yours, perhaps? Even so, you really shouldn't joke about that. You try to ask him in a calm manner, but your shaking voice betrays your hiding feeling as it shows how much you're in fear. Should I stay indifferent? If you look closely, he almost looked amused at your reaction. And your gut is telling you that his amusement isn't because he was joking about what he say, but rather the opposite. And what if I said that something is you? Listener, can you come here for a second? Izuku's voice snaps you back into reality as the conversation was cut short, and you quickly leave Shoto behind after giving him a small nod of apology. Shoto stares at your back as you disappear from his sight. You could almost feel his stare digging holes in your back, but you choose to ignore it. What's wrong, Midoriya? You silently thank him for getting you out of that uncomfortable situation. Izuku gives you a wry smile and points at his bleeding arm. You let out a small shriek at the sight, both worried and terrified at the deep-looking wound. I accidentally cut myself when I was walking near that thing. Izuku awkwardly points at a sharp-looking metal with a smile, as if the one of his arms isn't serious and his arm isn't bleeding heavily. You should have called me earlier. Gosh, follow me. You led him to the treatment room in a hurry. You glance back at the wound and saw the blood dripping on the floor, making your own face quiver. Izuku has always been careless with how he treats himself. Shota, one of the circus behind-the-scenes staff, even once asked if he had some kind of magnetic attraction toward accident that ended up hurting him. He just laughed it off, saying stuff like this. He used to do it, or it wasn't that big of an injury. Izuku is indeed the strong man of your circus. Despite having a baby face and a polydemic personality, his strengths rival even the adults. He once told you that he's aiming to be an amazing strongman, just like All Might, a legendary strongman in the history of circuses. Even since then, he'd been training diligently to get to where he is now. While you admire that part of him, you really wish he'd stop accidentally hurting himself. And there. Be careful next time, alright? Good thing the one isn't that serious. If it had been, you might need to take a break from doing circus act and rest at home, you know? It's a talent at this point to keep hurting yourself like this. You completed the treatment and jokingly said with a light chuckle, trying to distract yourself from the wound. Izuku stares at you for a bit before opening his mouth. If you ask me, I don't really feel like I'm hurting myself. You look at him, curious as to what he meant by that. He stands a sheepish smile and scratched the back of his neck. A small blush started to form on his cheeks. Rather than I feel like I'm rewarding myself. After all, I got to enjoy your beautiful self trading my wounds like this. Before I knew it, I just seemed to start getting myself hurt on purpose whenever I see you nervy. Izuku let a small chuckle, as if he's a teenage girl in love. You probably wouldn't have minded much if he had stopped at the second sentence. You would have probably just thought of him being his usual sweet self. But he just had to add the last sentence, huh? You look at him in pure shock and fear. What he said was definitely not normal. Why would he do that? Would be a stupid question to ask at this point, especially since he had clearly stated his reason before the last sentence. You see the way his eyes are clinging dangerously as his lips curve up into a sweet smile. So sweet it's almost sickening. I have to go, if you excuse me. You quickly leave the treatment room behind. Your mind wanders back to the one time you were talking with Shota. The older man had mentioned in passing how Izuku had gotten into accident and hurting himself more after you had come to work at your circus. You just brush it off, thinking that Shota was just overthinking things. You thought nothing of it, had almost forgotten about what he said. But after what just happened, you start to think that there was a possibility that what should I say might be true. You quicken your step and your mind is turned into chaos. A part of you doesn't want to think about it anymore, hoping what had happened today was just a bad dream, but you knew better than to run away from reality. Another part of you is just so bothered by Shoto and Izuku's weird demeanor towards you that you can't help but to start speculating things. You kept your eyes on the ground while walking, completely oblivious to your surrounding. Only after your face hits someone's chest do you finally tear your eyes away from the floor. The one you bumped into doesn't seem to please, however, since you heard him scroll and curse under his breath. You look up to see a very familiar face, Katsuki. You could have sworn you've never been more happy in your life to see the gremlin blondie. Your face completely lit up, but it soon whirled into a confused frown when you saw Katsuki glaring down at you. He was being pretty soft and kind to you just a few hours ago. What have you done in that short span of time to make him look so angry at you, even though you literally didn't even see his face during those few hours? Well, I just hope you don't need an explanation because he won't be giving you any. Before you knew it, you're already on your knees and looking up at his intimidating eyes. After all you've been through for today, you thought that maybe Katsuki can help comfort you, even in the most indirect way ever. You guessed wrong. Instead of comforting, his glare literally made your knees weak, resulting in you cowering before a seemingly tall figure. Instead of comforting, he made you feel worsened, and you might totally give up on trying to think up any word to say at all. What were you doing talking to the half-and-half bastard and a loser Deku? He asked in a low, rumbling voice. It almost seemed like he's trying hard to hold back his anger, as if he's the one he's showing isn't enough. You tried to say something, anything, but the word never came out. Instead, you're left gaping at him like a dumb fish. Tears started forming at the corner of your eyes, and you slowly closed them, in hopes that you'd wake up from this nightmare. Instead of waking up, you heard a loud scoff behind you, and shortly after that, your body was being carried by a pair of strong arms. Ka-chan, you really don't know how to treat your object of affection nicely, do you? Followed by a small, mocking chuckle. You saw Izuku carrying you bridal style. Your heart must have let out of your chest for a minute because you suddenly stopped breathing out of shock. After the situation has sunk in, however, it beats again, rapidly against your ribcage, almost making you feel like throwing up. Not even a second after that, you breathed with another shock as you saw a sharp blade only an inch away from Izuku's neck. Izuku sent a glance to the perpetrator behind him. And offer before I make you. Should I call me threaten you? Should I call me threaten while tightening his finger around the blade? Izuku doesn't seem surprised at all as he let out a weary sigh. Izuku finally let you down and put you a bit farther away before gathering back to the other two. That night became your unlucky night, and you'll forever remember it. Not only would you need to witness this little bloody show battle in front of your very eyes, but you also need to be the prize of the winner of the battle. And it goes without saying that your opinion doesn't matter there.